Welcome to the Select Board meeting of June 15th, 2021. This is our first in-person meeting since COVID began. And as we always do, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin our regular business, I did just want to say a few words about Roger Turner and have a moment of silence. Roger was well known in Walpole for being the emergency management administrator. He passed away on June 2nd. Roger was deeply passionate about the town of Walpole and involved with various boards and committees over the years, from Conservation Commission, Sewer and Water, RTM. Roger was a friend to many of us and will long be remembered for his many years of distinguished service dedicated to the town of Walpole. Roger always had a camera with him. He was always taking photos of the people of Walpole and the history of Walpole. He will be missed. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. First business tonight is Bernard Lynch of Community Paradigm Associates, discussion of the police chief search and selection proposal. Welcome.
Thank you. So Mark, if you're okay, I'll give a brief introduction.
Certainly.
So with us here tonight is Bernie Lynch. I've known Bernie, I was just thinking, I think I first met Bernie when I was 20 years old, 20 or 22 years old, working as an intern for the Mass Municipal Association and for the town of Concord when he was working in Chelmsford. So I'm glad to see him working with us again here in Walpole. He has a long history of serving in Massachusetts, first in Chelmsford and for 20 years, and then in Lowell as the city manager. He broke off and formed Community Paradigm Associates a few years back. He's stolen a couple of good people from us, Tom Gregory and Liz Dennehy with the town of Plimpton, and now Tom with the town of Hudson. And so Bernie has a really great track record helping communities find qualified people to fill key management positions. So with that, I'll kind of hand off to Bernie. We've kind of talked through his proposal, and I'd like the board to get to know Bernie as well as I know him. So Bernie.
Thank you, Jim. That was only a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
We were talking. Jim gave you a little bit of my background. I've been working with or for municipalities for almost 40 years, as I said before the meeting started. So I'm, as I said, I'm used to public gatherings and public meetings, but it is strange after a year and a half of not seeing anyone face to face, being out amongst the public. So I'm happy to be here tonight and to be your first item. As Jim said, I started Community Paradigm roughly 7 years ago, a little more than 7 years ago. As I left the city of Lowell, I wanted to stay involved with municipal government, working to assist in whatever way I could. And some of that might include helping communities find talent. I guess I had a sense of what was out there coming with the generational change that was happening, but perhaps not to the extent. Over the last 7 years, we've now worked on roughly 100 searches for municipalities and governmental entities here in Massachusetts. So we're happy to be here in Walpole to try to work with you on finding you a new police chief. I think you've all seen a copy of the sort of the proposal, the scope of services. We've tried to lay out the approach that we take. We look upon this really as coming out, working hand in hand with the board, with the town administration, and the stakeholders really within the town to identify what you want in your next police chief, and in terms of the skills, the attributes, and we also want to learn and understand what the challenges are facing the town so that we can then find the right mix of people to bring forward, candidates, so that you get the best possible individuals in place. So, just in terms of walking you through the process that we use, and now I'm happy to take any questions and address any of your issues or concerns, is, we come out over the course of the next several weeks, speak with each one of you individually to try to ask you those questions of what you're looking for, what you think Walpole needs right now from your police department, from your police chief. We'll be, we certainly see ourselves spending some time talking to Jim and other members of the administration, talking to members of the police department, the police force, to gather that information from them. And what we do with that, and I think we gave you a sample of the position profile that we put together for the town of Swansea, is we develop a position profile that has all of that information that we can then use to actively recruit candidates for you. What we're able to do that's a little bit different than town officials, as Jim sort of has alluded to, is we can steal candidates. We can find people. We have a network of individuals that will help us identify people that might be interested in this position. We'll also be posting the position, advertising it. We'll be using the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Massachusetts Municipal Association, and other organizations that represent police executives, again, to build up the pool for you. And we'll manage that process all the way through to help narrow the field down to a reasonable number that the most qualified individuals, manage them through the assessment center that we understand you intend to use. You have a firm that you've used in the past, I believe, that you intend to use again. So we'll work hand in hand with that organization and then bring forth finalists to you from wherever they may come from, so that you have the best possible candidates to look at. And again, we see our job really as one of helping you identify what you want, what you need, finding your candidates, managing the process, and bringing you all the way through to completion. And that's it in a nutshell. Happy to take questions or answer any.
Yeah, let
address
me
any
open it up for
concerns.
questions or comments. Jim, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so are you looking for input tonight from us in terms of what we're looking for? Is that gonna be part of that process you described?
I'd see that more as a process probably starting up next week, would be reaching out to try to set up some time to be in touch with you. We can do it, we can do that in person perhaps, or over the phone, through Zoom, our new technology, but we would do that individually. And then, but ultimately we would come back to the board with that position statement, that position profile, and get your buy-in that we got it right. The information that we see from each one of you is all contained within that profile.
So I like the approach that you've laid out here. It's very disciplined, it's very thoughtful, very planful. I think it's important that we have a lot of input from the community. So I know it's in here, but I want to make sure we actually say that and really mean that we should be looking for a lot of input from the community.
Sure.
And then I guess the only question that I've got, holding off on, given what I would be looking for, is I often get the question, how long do we think the process will take? And I've been telling people this needs to be a thoughtful, planful, well-executed process. So in your experience, how long do you think this process is likely to take?
I would say more than likely somewhere between 16 and 20 weeks, all told.
So 4 or 5 months?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Spend the first, I think I like the term thoughtful. It has to be a thoughtful process. This is a very important hire for the town of Walpole. And so I think, we spend the time up front making sure that we understand and the candidates understand what's being sought. And then we can, that sort of sets the foundation for, and that's where we can bring the community in. And we can look at a couple of different ways of doing that. Again, bringing people out to a meeting is certainly a possibility. We've also used surveys to get information that way. In fact, we're working with another community right now, and that's how they intend to start their process, and perhaps doing a forum more towards the end of the process, before the finalists are picked, so that they can, or perhaps even after they're picked, so that they can then, take that community input again and help them establish the parameters of what's being sought from the successful candidate. So there's a couple of different ways we can do that, and we would work with you to make sure
Good,
it's what you need.
okay. Yeah, that's good. And again, I like the way you've got this laid out in your proposal. This is one of the most significant leadership positions in the town.
Correct.
And so it does warrant, as I said, a thoughtful, planful, well-laid-out process, which I think you've done, so.
Yeah, and I would point out that, when we mentioned at my time in Lowell, this was something that I had the opportunity to hire 2 police superintendents for the city of Lowell.
Yep.
And this was something that we included within that process when I was there, is going out and bringing the community into the process.
Good, okay.
And so it's something we believe in.
Yeah, that's
very
really
strongly.
important.
Right.
Okay, good, thank you. Thanks, Mark.
I want to go to Glenn next, but before I do, I just want to say welcome to the board, Glenn.
Yes, thanks.
Congratulations on your win.
Thanks.
So,
Well, I am new to the board, but this is what I'll note is that this process is just beginning for the police chief search. So I'm glad that I'm not coming in the middle of this process. So that actually works out really well. So it's good to meet
Sure.
you, and I'm
Nice
glad
to
you're
meet
here.
you. Thank you.
Your proposal for services is pretty thorough, and I think it's a good launching pad. And I agree with Mr. O'Neill that seeking community input, obviously the board is all gonna chime in.
Right.
We're gonna meet with you individually, maybe twice, multiple times if we need to. But we'll try to get as much out to you as possible. So you're gonna have our feedback, and the community input is significant. You kind of explained how you're gonna reach out to individual stakeholders, maybe in a broad way, community survey, and maybe in a more targeted way, specific stakeholders that, and I can give you some names of groups that are interested in chiming in, but I'm sure you probably come to that on your own.
Certainly, any information that would be helpful.
Okay, yeah, and that can be part of the one-on-one. One of my questions is department heads. I assume you're gonna kind of reach out to the individual department heads, or maybe the relevant ones within town hall.
It would be the-
I'm thinking highway, health department, which is 2 that come to mind, but,
Sure. We would reach out and give them the opportunity to provide input to us.
yeah.
Yeah.
The health
No,
department, go ahead.
Not every department head, we
Oh.
kind of focus in on the ones that,
Conservation Commission,
right, fire, public works or highway. Health is one that generally, that wouldn't, but if there's something that they
Only
feel.
thinking about the mental health aspect, and I don't know to what extent they're involved in that, but, yeah.
You're right, there is that, there's many communities, that, they're dealing with mental health issues, hoarding issues, there's
Right,
a
yeah.
variety of things like that, right.
So I
we
guess,
can-
I don't have more questions for you now, but my other comment is that, and I think everybody here agrees, and you, I'm sure do too, but that there's a lot at stake, because I do want to get this right the first time, because if we don't, it's a very expensive and costly just for the community, being disruption aspect. So obviously getting it right, which is what we're here for, so
Great.
we're on the same page, I'm sure.
Great,
All right.
thank you.
Ben?
I just want to say thanks for coming out tonight, introducing yourself, and I really look forward to getting started.
Great, thank you.
Nancy?
Same, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Look forward to talking to you. The fact that you've stolen some good people from here, or
We won't
Place
hold
them.
it against them.
yeah, right, no, but meaning
Shows I know talent.
talent, yes.
Same thing, I'd just say thanks for coming out today. Look forward to meeting with you and having you go through the process. And I
Great.
think this is a very important hire for the town, so as Glenn said, we do want to get this right the first time, so.
Yep, absolutely. So
Do you-
we'll,
Do you have any questions for us before?
not at this time. I anticipate working through Jim to get your contact information and reaching out, as I say, probably beginning sometime next week, to sort of set up some time to speak and work around that. And we'll make sure that we get all of your input and the input of the other stakeholders, and make sure we get it right the first time.
Okay, great.
Great.
Look forward to working with you.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Brad.
Next up is Fire Chief Bailey with a quarterly update. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you to the chair and the board for having me this evening. Last time I was before you was on March 9th. Since that time, we've done 1,868 calls since the first of the year. That's 312 over what we did last year, which was our high year. So we're on a pace to break 4,000 runs this year. We're averaging 21.7 calls per day between emergency calls, which is around 12 calls per day, and the rest is on inspections. Our volume, as I mentioned, continues to increase. We're up 20% in the first 166 days of this year alone. Ambulance current balance in the account is $2,565,397. Fire prevention still remains very busy. The deputy is here with us this evening if there's any specific questions to fire prevention, but the easiest way to say is just busy, because we're involved in a lot of projects, a lot of annual inspections that we have to do and the like, and just very busy. And he takes care of 90% of it, so. The budget, the current budget, we're hoping to make it through to the end of the year. We should be in pretty good shape, barring any extremes. We have had a couple of major breakdowns in the last 2 weeks. We had to do the brakes on the squad, and we had one of our engines go down that had to be towed to Rhode Island to be fixed. That was anticipated to be much worse than it actually ended up being, so we escaped on that one. That truck is back in service, and we're in good shape there. The grants, we were awarded both our SAFE and Senior SAFE grants. Those came from the state for a total of $7,961. The CARES Relief Fund, we received an automatic stimulus fund payment of $27,279.27. This was to support healthcare providers fighting the pandemic. The amount was determined based on our share of Medicare FFS, which is fees for service, for the reimbursements in 2019. We've depleted most of those funds on the purchases that we made for COVID. CSF grant, we applied for and received, along with the police department. They received a similar grant, monetarily wise. That was the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Grant. With EOPS, our department requested $24,708. $12,708 was for PPE, $12,000 for station cleaning. We're on track with that spending. We're not quite sure how that's all gonna go, where that's a state grant. So we've kind of put the brakes on it a little bit with us coming out of the state of emergency, and we don't wanna overspend if we're not allowed to. So we have put some phone calls out there to make sure that we're still on track to spend that money, but currently it's on a holding pattern, but we're in good stead. Our EEPS Fire Safety Equipment Grant, we had $15,000 that we received from the state for a fire safety grant. We're in the process of purchasing that equipment. With that money, we've got 2 new cold water immersion suits, which we use for our ice rescue or cold water. PPV fans to take care of the larger projects that we have in town. What those are is they're positive pressure ventilation fans to help us move smoke out from within structures. So that can be anything from a room and contents fire to burnt food inside of an apartment building that we need to evacuate the smoke out of the hallway. So we've got some bigger fans that we purchased with that, which will help us with that. And lastly, with the money, we bought an accountability board and tracking system for our personnel at major incidents. This will allow us to track all of our personnel, both ours and any mutual aid companies that come in on a board, and it's long overdue, but we're able to do it with the funding that we receive. So the deputy and I are going through the components of that right now so that we can put on a training program for our personnel to bring that online. We've also, as I've mentioned to the board several times, and with your help, the AFG grant of the $779 for the engine and the SAFER grant for the 8 firefighters, those are both already been submitted. They're in process. They won't tell us where we stand in the process, other than the awards will be coming out starting at the end of June and going through the summer. So hopefully I can come back with some positive feedback on that as time moves on, but it's still in a holding pattern. Training, we're looking forward to get back into some in-person training. It's been a little bit difficult. We've done some small group stuff, but we're not allowed to do any of our EMS training up until this past week. Now that's been opened up, so we'll be able to bring people in to do some of our training in-house. What we were able to do, though, is a lot of stuff that I have personnel that are trained to train different aspects, and we have a training officer that's one of the firefighters on one of the groups. We've had driver training, high-rise pack deployment and operation for the larger buildings, RIT Mayday training, hose line training. Eversource came in and did a gas training with us that was done virtually a couple of weeks ago. Taking Action Against Cancer was a class that I took. It gives a different perspective on the risks that are associated with our job. As we all know, the firefighters have a very high risk of cancer, specifically in a whole group of them, and this was ways to take action to prevent some of those. The deputy has attended several fire prevention trainings via Zoom, and we've just started redoing our new building familiarizations, where we actually go out and we walk through both the new buildings that have come up online, as well as the older buildings that we have that have had different renovations to them. On the personnel front, firefighter EMT John Hamilton retired on June 6th. So he retired a week ago after 34 years. We had two new hires, Kevin Brady and Justin Labonte. They've both undergone their orientation program with us, and they are both on shift and working. We have one injury that still hangs out there. It's a back injury, and the prognosis is still up in the air a little bit. We've been working with our insurance agency, and he's been working with his docs, and we've been going back and forth a little bit. So hopefully we can get him back sooner rather than later, but he is still currently out. Open burning, we had 369 permits this year, and even though it was very dry, we had a very relatively quiet season for that. And the last thing I'll bring up is the night before the 4th, as we've mentioned. That's off for this year. I bring it up again only because we've been getting some phone calls, some very negative towards us and the way we handled it. I just wanted to be clear that that decision had to be made back in March when the pandemic was still very active. We did not know that it was going to turn out the way it is right now with everything being lifted. It does not give us enough time to plan and gear up for that event. There's a lot of people that are involved with that, and unfortunately, we had to put it off. So, and with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Let me comment real quickly, and then I'll go around the room. So, the first one is, I understand on the night before the 4th, fireworks. What I think most people don't realize is that's privately fundraised. So you guys are accepting donations for a long period of time to cover the costs, and then you have to actually line up the fireworks provider and all that. So it's a long process, and I think we're all looking forward to next year, so.
Yes, and that's a good point. All the funds for the 4th of July are raised by us and others in town. The rec department's heavily involved with us as well. We had another gentleman who since passed away this year who was extremely instrumental in that, and Fred Gianmenico. He was very helpful to us for many, many years in helping us to raise the funds for that. The firefighters do the entire evening, the entire day setup, and the next day breaking it all down at no cost to the town. The only cost is for the 2 firefighters that have to sit at the fireworks for the details. So other than that, we do it all in our own time. We've always done it that way, and we've kept that tradition alive, so.
Thanks. Let me go to Nancy.
Yes, and there is also the town buy-in that we are spending funds as far as DPW setup and cleanup and all police details and all the police that are mandated to be working that time. So everything is fundraised, but there is town payment. You know, there is taxpayer money that does go to that event. Because I also was seeing some of the comments that the town should be doing it and things like that. So it's actually a really great partnership that has lasted a long time, that has been put off for an extremely valid reason. It's very disappointing that you or anyone answering the phone would have to hear that negativity, because it's been such a wonderful event and hopefully will continue. So I'm sorry that you guys and anyone that has to hear that, because it's just not right and it's not fair. Norwood Hospital, how about an update there? What's going on? Because I know with your call volume up as much as it is, that on top of it being up, your length of turnaround time for each call is up huge without Norwood Hospital, so.
So the only information I can give you on Norwood at this point in time is that we've heard bits and drabs of things that are going to be happening there, but nothing official has come out. And even if what I've been hearing is true, you're looking at a couple of years at a minimum, so. They told us they were gonna come out with a release, and they haven't, so I really don't think I should say the rumor that I've heard, so.
Thank you.
Other than that, it'll be a while.
Yep.
Ben?
I don't have anything to add, Chief. Thanks for coming in. It's good to actually see you in person after a long spell there. You know, I'm looking forward to hearing more about the SAFER grants and how that ends up. I know that has a really big impact on our operations and everything you're trying to do over there, so looking forward to that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Glenn?
Yeah, hey, Chief, nice to see you again. It sounds like you've had a very busy quarter, so thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
That's all.
Jim?
You know, nothing that hasn't already been said. I did have a couple people ask about the night before the 4th, and interesting, when I explained to them we had to make the decision back when we did, they got it. So I think most people actually do get it, and so I'm sorry to hear that there are some who don't, but that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I did want to bring up one other issue.
And I forgot one issue.
No,
so
no,
go ahead.
the East Walpole Fire Station.
Yes.
You know, we reopened that station due to COVID. In my personal opinion is I think that provides a great service to the town, to have the department split and have, you know, ambulance as well as engines that can go out of the East Walpole station. So I just wanted, I know there's a budget consideration with that, and I do want to throw that open to the board in just a moment, but I want to see if there's anything else you want to add about the East Walpole station.
Sure, so I did speak at length with Jim this morning to go over that, because the original from the board was to get me through to July 1, and I would like to keep, I think it should stay open beyond July 1, and I was preparing the monetary requirements that would be needed in order to make that happen. That's what Jim and I met about this morning. It roughly costs us so in order to go from the 8-man minimum, which is what we have contractually, to the 9-man minimum, it required me to use overtime in order to backfill that position. That was about $42,000 for the time period from March to now. So, in speaking with Jim this morning, we felt that that number was a good place to start and move forward if the board so chooses. I can tell you that our call volume down there, as was the case for the quarter, was high, but 642 of the calls that we had out of the 1,100 came out of the East Walpole station. That station is extremely busy and does a lot of our call volume because it takes care of the Route 1 corridor. And what the response district for that is from Station 2, Washington Street, all the way to South Walpole, and everything to the left side of it. And then it will shoot down Summer Street and take care of some of the offshoots there, and then everything towards Route 95. So they take care of all of the accidents out on Route 95. There are mutual aid truck to fires as well if the ambulance is in quarters. So again, very busy station. I would like to see it stay open. I think it is going to become a critical component to stay open with all of the construction that's going to be going on with 1A and with the High Plain Street intersection. We're already starting to see some of the delays that are caused by the Route 1A construction, and they're just doing some pole work right now. So some of the backups have been pretty significant, and I anticipate that to get a little bit worse, at least in the beginning stages of that project. So if we could keep it open and move forward, if we start to run into a money issue with it, which I'm watching all the time anyways, I can come back and reevaluate with both Jim and the board. So, but in the short term, if the board would support it, I would like to see it stay open.
So what I would say is I don't think we need a vote, but I'd like to give Jim and the chief a sense of the board. So let me start with Jim.
I think it's a good idea to keep it open, for all the reasons you've cited, Chief. I think it's been a boon to the town, and you have my support to keep it open.
Thank you.
Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the business of providing services on the select board, and this is a service that obviously, and we've got to weigh the cost benefits, and, I mean, I do want to understand the cost. The 42,000 is kind of where you're starting in the 8 and the 9-man shifts. I have questions about that, we can get into it later, but, you know, and I live in East Walpole, I live very close to the station. It's not about me, but I recognize that, that area is a coverage area that without that station, it would be very delayed, coming from downtown. So, yeah, no, I see the benefit, yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for that additional information, Chief. I'm certainly in favor of it. I think it's the right thing to do, as long as we can keep tabs on the cost, you know, going forward, and it sounds like you and Jim are in constant contact about that, so we'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes.
Thank you.
Nancy?
I think the volume speaks for itself, you know, it's a busy part of town. And as long as we feel comfortable with the budget, Jim?
So as far as the budget, the chief and I have met, we've been talking about it for a couple of months now, whether or not, because I did get the sense from the board before that you were in favor of, you know, keeping it open, but obviously cost considerations come to mind. So we're looking, I think we could have an opportunity in the fall to possibly look at some new growth money to put towards the fire station, knowing that once we put it in this budget, it's probably in there for a long time. The big consideration is the overtime cost, because right now, contract allows for us to drop from 10 per shift down to 8. He's been staffing up to 9 with the East Walpole Fire Station being open. So basically, it's running a minimum 9-man shift. So we got to account for that. That's where the 42 comes in. We also have to account for electricity, which is about 8,000. The added expenses on the truck, the ambulances are about close to 10, 11,000. I know Comstar, their rates are up because they're billing more. So there's some money that we need to put towards the fire department budget in the fall. If this is something that the board wants to see, I'll explain it to Finance Committee. But I think it's definitely feasible, and given the demand, and especially the fact that we're traveling all over the place. We're going to Brockton, we're going to Needham, Natick.
City.
Yeah, in the city, to transport people to the hospital now. There's a need for it. I understand the need. The chief's explained it. He's running 3 ambulances. He's got the 3 ambulances now, so he's certainly busy, and I think we could, you know, we'll break it all out for you and for the Finance Committee as we get closer to the fall, but I think we could do it.
The other thing to keep an eye on is, I know when we opened the station, it was with the idea that it might be temporary. So we made repairs to that facility to get through and get it reopened. So now that we're leaning toward and moving in the direction of keeping it open, is there anything else we really should be doing in that building longer term? So, you know, if you could work with Jim on that. And, you know, I know that you mentioned there was some HVAC heating issues, and I don't know what else is going on there, but you may want to take a look at that as well, if there's some capital money that we need to spend to bring that facility up to sort of a long-term perspective rather than just a short-term one.
Sure.
One thing.
Nancy?
Speaking of rumors, did you hear anything about Brigham expanding their emergency services up at Patriot Place?
I have not. I know that our urgent care that went online back in September has been extremely busy, and I'm associating that with the fact that we don't have a hospital close by.
Right.
We are doing a tremendous amount of runs out of there, so, with some very serious calls, so.
Right. Yeah, I've heard some things about Brigham maybe expanding and putting in a cath lab.
Oh, well, I haven't heard that.
I also see we have to make a vote on a box truck that will be declared as surplus.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so that's, we have a red truck out behind our station that used to be an old N-Star truck that we had made into a squad. We had, it was basically like an old bread truck, but it had some other heavy-duty equipment inside of it. It is pretty much rusted itself off. It was outside for a long time with the old station, and the frame and stuff just wasn't 100%. So we had the opportunity to take one of the old ambulances the last time, and instead of trading it in, because we already had it, Jim allowed me to keep it, we converted that into our squad. What that has done is it's given me a vehicle that has heat and it has air conditioning, so we can use it for rehab purposes. We can use it for ice rescue and have a warm truck to get back inside of. It stores our equipment much better. We're able to, some of those fans that I mentioned, one of them's too big to go on the truck, so it's actually gonna be in the squad so that the squad can be brought to the scene. So it's much more versatile the way we have it, which then leaves me with a truck that I don't have any use for. So that's the truck that's before you. That was gifted to us many years ago from Eversource when they got rid of it. It was one of their underground trucks.
So we're just looking for the board to declare it surplus. We're gonna send it out to auction. We've been really successful the last year or two with auctioning off some of our old vehicles and equipment, so.
Yeah, no sense keeping it if can't really use it, so.
It's just taking up space out back.
Nancy?
I'll make a motion to declare the utility box truck as surplus and authorize the town administrator to dispose of the surplus equipment.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That was
First time we haven't had to take an individual vote because we're on Zoom. Thanks, Chief, for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. It's gonna take like 20 minutes off the meetings.
at least.
Next up is a vote to appoint Lieutenant Joe Zangetti as a constable for non-civil matters. Anybody who's,
So with us here tonight is Acting Chief Keller and Lieutenant Zangetti. You wanna come up and just kinda explain what this is all about? Chief?
Good evening.
good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so basically, we have constables that sign the town warrants every year. So with Chief Carmichael's departure to Newton PD, I'm left as the only constable left to sign, the warrants that go into town meetings. So in order to have a backup in case my absence, Lieutenant Zangetti would be able to fill in and take care of that. So we would come before you to ask you to appoint him this evening to be the backup constable for criminal matters, non-civil matters, so.
Anybody have any questions?
We've checked Joe out. He's okay.
Yeah, he's good.
We all know Joe's okay.
Solid character.
I'll make a motion to appoint Lieutenant Joe Zangetti as constable for non-civil matters.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Are you Brian LaFleur? Yes. Come on up, Brian. So this is a vote for a change of manager for the Walpole Country Club to Brian LaBlue. Is all the paperwork in order?
Yep, we have everything, and he's been in touch with Lieutenant White as well for the civil program.
Okay.
So everything's
Why don't you give us the 1-minute version of who you are and what you're doing over at the Walpole Country Club?
Great. So I'm the new GM as of March 2nd. Came over from Blue Hill Country Club and just looking to elevate the program over there. And, it's a great membership and, a lot of town support, which is great. And just looking to change the manager to make sure that it's in my name and I can, keep the boat going in the right direction.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope. I'll make a motion to approve the request to change of manager for Walpole Country Club to Brian LaBlue.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That was quick and painless.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then,
Wait,
I-
there's an additional, so for the entertainment, to add live music for the country club.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for Walpole Country Club to add live music to its annual entertainment license.
Second?
Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now you can really go.
Now you can go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Greens are looking good up there.
So next up, we have the Council on Aging interviews and vote for appointment. We're looking to fill 2 regular seats and 2 associate seats. What I'd like to do is just invite people to come up one at a time, spend maybe a minute or two, talk about, your background, what you've been doing with the Council on Aging, and what you'd like to do if you're appointed to one of those positions. Before I do that, I also want to recognize Josette Burke, who's the Chair of the Council on Aging, and Rich Chair? Not yet, I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I know too much, sorry. So, Rich McCarthy, who's the Chair of the Council on Aging. Rich, is there anything you'd like to say, or?
No, I think this was our first year that we actually got to interview the candidates that would like to come on board. And I'm really impressed on the enthusiasm and the effort that they want to get on board and get involved.
Great.
We thank them all.
I would say, having looked at all the resumes myself, and we'll let everybody else weigh in after everyone has a chance to talk, I think all of the candidates would make great members on the Council on Aging, and it's really a great thing that we have so many people who have volunteered. So first on my list is Linda Coletti. Linda, you want to come up? You can sit in the hot seat and just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the Council on Aging. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name's Linda Coletti, and I've been going to the council, I've been going to the senior center since it opened. And I have a great interest in wanting to be on the board. I have a great rapport with the seniors. I get along very well with them. I've had a lot of life experience with senior citizens. I took care of my mother for 12 years, 10 in my own home. I've received an associate's degree in human services at Dean College and an associate's degree at Mount Ida in occupational therapy. So I have a lot of experience in different areas, but all to do with human beings and how to handle them and how to, get along. And I think that I would be good for this job because I have a lot of energy, and I really would love to be a part of this board so that I can express that energy and help in any way that I can. And I think that's about it. I really hope that I'm able to fulfill this position.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
I was just going to ask the board, does anybody have any questions for Linda? I know everybody has seen your application, so. Not me.
But just to say that I love the energy and I love the enthusiasm, so keep it up.
Thank you very much. I live alone, and I own a house with an acre of land, and I take care of it all by myself. Nancy knows, she lives right near me. And that's what I do. That's my therapy, that's where I put my energy. But I really would rather have a lot more people in my life than I do, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish for myself, but at the same time, give myself to them in any positive way that I can.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Next up, Joanne DePietro. Welcome.
Hi, hello there. My name is Joanne DiPietro. I'm an attorney in town. I've been practicing in this area for over 22 years. I don't even remember when, probably about 4 years ago, I met Carrie and I started an affiliation with the Walpole Council on Aging, doing lectures and webinars through Zoom and providing advice, resources, bringing in guest speakers, providing half-hour consultations to help people manage what's going on in their lives and see where we could find some, resources for them too. The Council on Aging has been very good to me, let me say that to you. They are very generous to me and always kind and always reaching out to me to see if I can be a part of any of their events that they have going on, which we most willingly do. The people in my office love to get out and love to go to the Council on Aging for any type of event. It's very satisfying and gratifying what we have been doing, and it's very nice to give back to Walpole. Walpole's been very good to me over the years, and I do see it as an opportunity to be on the board to continue that path. I do have to say I haven't dove into too much, but I do know that a lot of my clients, and let me say I handle real estate and estate planning, where in both facets I see elders quite frequently, but I do see that, senior housing, we really need to do something for senior housing, and that is something that I would really like to be a part of.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Joanne? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, next, I'm going to butcher the name. Sandhya Malur?
Hi.
How'd I do on your first name?
Yeah.
Not good, huh?
Sandhya, you did actually
Okay,
okay.
all right.
You did okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good evening. Thanks for inviting me today. My name is Sandhya Mulur, and I've lived in Walpole for about 20 years. When I first moved to town from Norwood, I lived at the Central Lane condominiums, and when I got married, I moved to West Walpole. My husband, Paul Wilson, has lived in Walpole for almost 40 years, so we live on West Street near Symphony Park. I got the opportunity to retire a few years ago, a little early, and I took that opportunity really to spend time in India with my mother, so in the last few years of her life. And my mother passed away a few years ago at the age of 90. But in going to India and spending all of that time with her at the assisted living, I was able to see the issues that impacted older seniors, herself and her friends. My mother-in-law, who's 94, lives in Westwood, so I get to see a lot of the issues that concern her as well. My particular interests, besides being a member of the Walpole Council on Aging, the Senior Center, are affordable senior housing in town, aging in place, and aging in a healthy manner as well. So I was able to join the Senior Center, the Council on Aging, in 2019 after I turned 60, and I'm an active participant. I take a lot of classes. I also teach yoga dance to folks there, which I enjoy, which is a lot of fun. I have a session coming up in August. And I'm also a member of the Walpole Trails Committee, which is how I know Glenn. And so myself and a couple of my friends and colleagues on the Trails Committee lead senior walks from the center so that we can help people, stay physically active as well. I also am a monitor in the fitness center. Sometimes I volunteer there. So I would really like to just continue working for the Council on Aging and helping them in town. We love being here and sharing all of the trails and just the information in town and helping the council in any way that I can. I'd like to give a shout out to Carrie and Josette and Rich and all of their staff and all of the volunteers. They do a fantastic job. I mean, it's just wonderful. The building is beautiful, the services are wonderful, and it's super well organized. I know because I've talked to a lot of people in other towns on the services offered, so I would really like to help enhance that and continue with that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Nope. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Megan Priest, welcome.
Hi there, my name is Megan. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Marketing from Ithaca College, and I came to Massachusetts when I earned my Master's in Entrepreneurial Leadership from Babson College. Post-graduation, I decided to volunteer with the Wellesley Council of Aging, and I also attempted to launch my own business that was created an assisted living device for people experiencing memory loss, where I really got to meet a lot of experts in the field in Massachusetts and develop that technology product. COVID hit, as we all know, and I pivoted, and I actually now work at Sunrise at Braintree as their activities director, where I work on every single day. I basically work with seniors, making sure that they are fulfilled with their mind, body, and spirit, and really helping them find a continued purpose. I'm interested in the board and applying for the Council of Aging because I really do think that it's one of the best resources towns in Massachusetts really do offer. Aging happens to everyone, and sort of my goals to work with the board is one, to create more outreach to younger people in town, to create like Alzheimer-friendly spaces in town, and continue to outreach to those seniors who have felt really isolated due to COVID. I know it takes a lot of effort to be reintegrated into that socialization process, and I really want to be involved in that process on the board.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Janet Fasanello, welcome, Janet.
Yeah. And it's good to be here. I have been in Walpole and kind of grew with my kids. I had my last daughter when we first moved, and so joined the parent group at Old Post Road, finally joined town meeting to make sure the schools were represented. Moved on and started the food pantry with the initial group. Yes, everybody makes me feel a lot older than I am. So I've aged with the kids that I used to teach. I was a teacher for many years. So I became quite involved with the food pantry, and the food pantry really pointed out the needs for young people, but also for our seniors. And then the new senior center came in, and it was fabulous. And I did happen to fit into that age group, so I did join them and became an associate member for a couple of years, and have loved every single second. They're all vibrant people, and they absolutely put the seniors right up front, and the Carrie and all her staff and everybody that I've had the pleasure to support have encouraged me that I want to continue. As a member of the Walpole Food Pantry, the one thing that I hate is that we are not person to person right now. And at the senior center, we certainly are. And I got to meet so many people that I would not have had that opportunity to meet. And hopefully the pantry will be back too. But for right now, this is a wonderful opportunity for me to kind of learn as I go along and fit in with my age group, as well as younger people joining and older people that have so much to offer that you wouldn't even believe. So it's been my pleasure, and I'd like to continue to support Carrie and her group and come up with some ideas that I have figured out being in Walpole for as long as I have. So that's it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Janet. Any questions?
Not necessarily for Janet, but I just want to say, my comment is that I'm just blown away and inspired by the collective, resumes and skill sets, and if the town can find a way to find a spot for all 6 of them. I know tonight we have to choose 4, but I don't want the other 2 to get away. I guess is my comment, so I'll just leave it at that.
It's a good comment.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
How about Julia Cesaro? Welcome.
Well, I've lived in the town for over 60 years. I have served on other committees, and if I tell you how long ago it was, the Dog Study Committee, which must have been 40 years ago, the Street Naming Committee, I was chairman of that. I like working with people. I still work, I'm a bookkeeper, a part-time bookkeeper. I also have a real estate license. I do that occasionally. And I've been on the committee. My daughter is a teacher in the system, and she asked me to be the citizen at large at when they have their meetings, and I did that for several years. I'm a good organizer. I know how to do the computer very well. I'm used to Zoom meetings and webinars and what have you. I take all the courses that I have to, and even ones that I don't. I believe in educating myself. I feel I learn something every day. I like to work with people. I feel I have the patience, and I know how to follow through. And if you give me a job, it will get done, and it will get done right. And I'm ready to volunteer. I don't want to be idle.
Great.
Any questions?
Any questions? So thank you.
Okay.
I just want to follow up on the comment that Glenn made. You know, I've said this many times in the past, one of the great things about Walpole is the number of people who volunteer of themselves to help others in the town. And it really is a great thing, and it really does make Walpole special. And as Glenn said, even if you're not selected tonight for one of the 4 positions, please continue to find ways to help out the council. I think the council is a really special place. I'm so glad we were able to build the building, a few years ago, not because we needed another building, but because of what happens in the building. And Janet also brought up the food pantry, which I know, working through a variety of methods, was able to feed lots and lots of people who probably never had expected themselves to be food insecure. And I think they've done a great job and continue to do a great job. So just wanted to make that comment, especially for the TV audience. So thanks for everybody who's volunteered. So I'll go back to the board before a motion gets made. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Or Jim?
Just thank you all for being willing to volunteer, and you got 6 great candidates. Thanks, Mark.
Glenn?
No, I mean, I'm busy enough, but you make me want to go out and volunteer for more things, so just keep it up.
We'll keep you pretty busy.
Yeah.
Ben?
Oh, thank you.
Nancy?
I just wanted to say, I'll make a motion, but that, we are the appointing authority, but we do also count on the other regular members that have been there for their recommendation when we put together these appointments. And, you know, we really appreciate them spending that time and giving us that recommendation. And agree that I wish we had room for everybody on the board, but the great thing about the senior center is there's plenty of room there for everybody and for everybody to keep volunteering, because it seems like each and every one of you has something really special to bring. So with that being said, I am very excited to make the motion to promote Mrs. Fasanello as a regular member to the Council on Aging. I know firsthand, since I was in elementary school, what a wonderful woman she is. Wonderful mother, wonderful volunteer, and I'm very excited to make that motion.
So I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 I'll make a second motion to appoint Joanne DiPietro as a regular member to the Council on Aging. Again, firsthand, having worked on many projects with you and being a member, the Junior Women's, and how well you organize and how well you get things going. I'm very excited to make a motion to appoint you as a regular member on the Council of Aging.
So I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I'll make a motion to appoint Sandra Malar as an associate member on the Council of Aging. And, you know, I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to appoint Megan Priest as an associate member of the Council on Aging. And I just want to ask, as we do this, are you going to be our youngest member?
I am 25.
Ask her her age.
So well, no, just because I think it's very exciting for a 25-year-old female to want to jump into this and become a member. And it just, to be 25 it's awesome, and it's something to be extremely proud of. And, you know, I'm very excited to nominate you.
So I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 So that's it for tonight. So those who weren't appointed tonight, you know, as has been said, please find a way to volunteer or continue to volunteer over at the Council on Aging, which really is a special place. Josette?
I want to thank everybody who submitted an application, because this is the first time we've had such really qualified people. And it's really nice, starting with Megan's age up through, that the enthusiasm is there, and we've got something really special
I
at
agree.
the center, under the leadership of Carrie. So,
And it is great to see everybody in person, so that's a first for such a long, long time, so thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting, so,
Oh, they'd like to. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
With the time being 8 o'clock, is anybody here for open forum? Seeing as there's nobody here for open forum, we'll continue on with new business. Jim?
Sure, we have a couple of bids and contract awards here. I think that's why Rick's here. So if you're okay, I'll just kind of run through them.
Sure.
So first up is bid contract number 21-21, Blackburn Hall facade restoration for the amount of $167,000. We're recommending favorable action on that one for Egan Builders based in Winchester. You may recall that we started this project, I think it was 2 years ago. We did what we could. We had to go back to town meeting to get further appropriation to do the other half of the building. So Dawn's looking to move forward with that. So I'll recommend favorable action.
Great, Nancy?
I'll make a motion to award bid contract number 2021-21 for Blackburn Hall Phase 2 facade restoration in the amount of $167,000 to Egan Builders LLC. And to note, this project was identified in the first master plan.
Good.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, next up is bid contract number 21-22, pavement markings of various locations. Recommend favorable action for K5 Corporation based in Rockland for the amount of $34,390.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second. So any comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next up is bid contract 21-24, that's the Old Post Road window replacement. Recommend favorable action for Modern Glass and Aluminum based in Easton for the total amount of $205,900.
So moved, and to note, also identified in the school facility studies that came off of the first master plan.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, the last bid contract here is bid contract number 21-25, that's the high school partial roof replacement. Recommend favorable action to Corella Contracting, Inc., based in Winthrop, for the total amount of $146,293.
So moved, and again, same study. It was identified.
So those studies actually paid off, you're saying?
That is what I am
They
saying.
didn't
I was gonna
finish.
wrap up at the end with just a little soapbox, but let's finish.
I'll second that, but I do want to ask you a question. Is there more work still needs to be done with the high school roof? I know it's an old roof, so, and we've been doing parts of it, so. Okay, so we'll see more in the future.
Don's been picking away at it, yeah.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll take a second. Do you mind?
Sure, please.
So, just to soapbox, the point of mentioning these studies is that 20 years later, that is such, and was such a real living document, that it has helped guide us in so many different departments and so many different projects, that without a humongous, comprehensive master plan, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we have, and we are still trickling down from that project 20 years ago. That's it.
And we are about to start another master plan review process. It's now in the hands of the planning board. The select board made some recommendations. They're going to take it up and move in the direction they want. But the important thing is that we're going to move ahead and kind of look again at everything. And if you do look at that master plan, almost all of the projects that we've done over the last 15 or 20 years have been in the master plan and identified as priorities. So I'm looking forward to seeing the new master plan and laying out the next 20-year future for the town. So I think that's a great thing.
Me too. I'll make a motion to open the fall town warrant for 2021, and the warrant will close on August 24th, 2021.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Only discussion on my part is, Aoife and I have already started putting together the warrant for the upcoming, obviously, we got capital, we got stabilization, we got OPEB on there. So we'll give you guys a draft, and if there's anything else you can think of that we're missing or that you'd like added on, just let us know before it closes. I know Aoife's been contracted by someone who wants to do a citizen petition for an extra package store, right? Yeah.
For what?
Package store. So we'll see, but I'll continue to keep you updated as we progress through the summer.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Can I jump in here, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, yes.
So I think we're on the Select Board representative on the School Building Committee, and Ben Barrett, who's sitting right next to me, I think would actually, he's a young parent, he's got 2 kids who will end up going through the middle school. Ben, I think his profession is a civil engineer, so he can bring that kind of unique set of skills. So with that very quick summary of Ben, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Ben as a Select Board representative on the School Building Committee.
Second.
Quickly seconded by Nancy. I do want to say thanks to Ben. It's going to be one of those things that takes a good amount of work. David Salvatore was our representative. He did not run for selectman again, so we're looking for a new person. Ben, I think you'd do a great job, so thank you.
And to note, the criteria of that seat is a seat itself.
Yeah, so this is a select board seat. So I think you'll be a great fit. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
I'll make a motion to sign the ground lease and notice of lease with W.R. Grace and Company, Connecticut, and Covidian LP for the Superfund site.
I'll second that, but then go to Jim.
Sure.
Jim, is there anything else?
No, the reason this is on here after, I was just looking, we originally signed that December 19th, 2017. The reason it's coming back to 4 years later is because the original lease didn't include the groundwater treatment plant, which was not constructed yet. They're looking to incorporate the as-built into the entire site. So we worked with David Foss, who's been with us forever, and Rich Fisher, who helped us through the DEP with this site. So this is more of a formality, but looking for the board's approval on this one.
Any other questions for Jim? Jim?
Just one. I've had some questions from the folks that live down in that area about the maintenance of that site. Trimming the bushes, keeping the grass, the weeds down and all that. Are they accountable for that as part of the lease?
No, as part of the agreement that was signed before I took over as the town administrator, the town agreed to maintain the grounds around it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the fields, Jimmy in the parks and Justin.
Actually, I think we just cut it the other day.
Okay. So we go out and take care of that.
Great. All right. Thank
the areas around there.
But it's maintained more as like field than it is grass.
Yeah.
And that's also partially because it also discourages
Right,
being on it.
right, we maintain the fields, the shrubs, the fencing. We put the slats in for privacy fencing.
And Clark Ave, yeah. Yeah, so if they have any questions, just reach out to DBW or our office.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the sign policy at town-owned athletic fields.
I'll second that. Jim, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, the reason we are putting this together is obviously, we have a lot of interest in raising funds for the South Walpole Community Athletic Complex, the new fields down there, and just want to have some guidelines in place, so it's not, it's all signed up. This is a process that we'll go through. Brendan's put this together and kind of vetted it, so it's ready to go.
Yeah, I would just say for the people at home especially, the two AstroTurf type fields are in full use right now. They're used a lot. The grass fields are still growing out and hopefully will be available for use, hopefully in the fall, but if not in the fall, in the spring. It's really great to see kids down there playing sports and people walking down through the trails. Money is, the Friends of Walpole Recreation are doing fundraisers to raise money for essentially bathrooms and, a snack shack type building, as well as a handicapped accessible playground. So money is still being raised. If you have an interest, reach out and we'll put you in touch with the right people for that. So,
Quick comment.
Sure.
Just other than it's a real positive thing to have a policy, I think it makes sense. It just, if it gets out of hand, which it won't, but we don't want too many signs covering every square inch of the fence, and I don't even know what is too much. I mean, we'll know it when we see it, I think, is probably more to the point. But just, keep that in mind.
We'll certainly keep it in mind, yeah.
yeah, too many signs would be a good problem to deal with.
Okay,
So,
yeah, well, I guess you're right.
It's a very large facility. There's plenty of room for those who would like to get a sign, so. But you're right, we don't want it to look crazy, so.
Not the problem we have today.
It's not the problem we have today.
Gotcha.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to approve the request for the Recreation Department to use the town common for the annual Concerts on the Common series as outlined in the memo dated June 7th, 2021. Thank God they're back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what a great concert series it is. It's a great chance to come downtown and see your friends, see some of the people you haven't seen for a year and a half or so. So it is great that it's back. Anybody have any comments or questions? No. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the request of Avi Shemtov Tapped Beer Truck for 2 one-day wine and malt licenses at Bird Park on Sunday, June 19th, 2021, from 5 to 8 p.m., and Sunday, June 20th, 2021, from 12 to 3 p.m., subject to them meeting the conditions outlined by the WPD, that there will be 1 police officer detail at the event 30 minutes before alcohol service begins and until 30 minutes after alcohol service ends, and alcohol to remain in the designated area.
I'll second that. Are we happy with all the paperwork and
Yeah.
everything that's been done?
Abby's been great to work with, and I've also been working with Maura as, from the Bird Park trustees, so she was able to send me over the map and any other information that I needed, so everything's all set.
I think we're gonna see more requests like this. Aoife and I met with a gentleman who was interested in coming in, the vacant piece of retail space at Corcoran, and he's looking to do some type of a beer garden in the future. You know, he asked would the town be open to some of these ideas, and I think the more we see people outside and active, the better. I'm looking forward to the downtown live events as the fall approaches, so I think we're gonna see more of these coming forward, definitely.
Great. And to go back to Bird Park always does a great job, so really looking forward to that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain?
Yeah.
401.
I will make a motion to approve the request of Donna Murphy for a one-day permit at 40 Front Street for live music from 4 to 11 on June 26, 2021, with a rain date of July 3rd, 2021, with the applicant informing WPD of the exact date as it gets closer to the event.
I'll second that. Eve, are we happy with all the paperwork on that?
Yep, and they've been in touch with Lieutenant White, and I spoke to Donna today, actually, and she told me that if you guys approve it, that she will definitely stay in touch with him in terms of whether they use the June 26th or the July 3rd date.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah,
Any-
everything's looking great. Sorry to see Fred go. The chief mentioned it, but it's a nice service for her brother here.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda?
Huh? Consent agenda?
Yep. I'll make a motion to accept with extreme gratitude all donations listed on the consent agenda and would like to note the following: the Junior Women's Club of Walpole to positive tickets in Chief Carmichael's name, and to the Veterans Gift Account, multiple donors, to Recreation Smiling Eyes Financial Assistant, to Henry Scanzio, from Henry Scanzio for Council on Aging gifts, Philip Stanford for Council on Aging gifts, many donations in memory of Francis Palmieri to Council of Aging gifts from the following families and organizations: St. Louis, Palmieri, Habisky, Tornado, Galligan, Fanahy, Kiesling, Ferris, Kochiak, Mullica, Lundergan, Jackson, Zanowiski, Cologne Families, Boyden Sunshine, and Norwood Art Association.
I'll second that and just say thank you to everyone who made a donation to help make Walpole better and help out people in town. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 25th and June 7th as presented in our packet.
I'll second that. Any comments or questions?
Should I abstain from the May minutes, or? Yeah.
You don't have to, but
Yeah, you don't have to.
likely you probably should.
Okay.
From now on, you'll be in the minutes. So
Yeah.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Yeah.
1. So 401. Town Administrator's update?
Sure, just a couple of items here. So first off, with the COVID update, obviously today is going to be our last day of the state of emergency as far as open meeting laws are concerned. I want to thank Melissa, Trish, Rika, and the entire Board of Health. They've done a lot of work over the last 15 months, and they've done an excellent job. There's certainly no training for what we've dealt with, but they've done a great job, and the Board of Health has been so great to work with, delegating a lot of the duties to Melissa and working through it each week in and week out with her. So I'm also pleased to say that we have 0 active cases in Walpole right now.
Yay.
Which is, I don't, maybe March of 2020 is the last time we had 0, so that's good news. There's still a lot of discussions about changes to the open meeting laws and to the alcohol services, what can be served as far as alcohol and what can't be served. We were hoping for some changes that were going to be in place today because it actually expires today. I've talked to Senator Feeney, Representative Phillips, and Representative Rogers. They're trying to get there, but the House and Senate can't agree on the language. I just got an update now saying they're going to work through the night, whatever that means, to try to come up with something. But we're meeting in person now. I've had a couple department heads ask me, what do we do? We've already posted for Zoom. We do what we can do. someone said pivot tonight. I think we'll pivot and adapt and change the agendas, even if it's short notice, if they need to meet in person. And if we get a complaint, we'll deal with it. But, you know, our goal here is to be as open and transparent as possible, and if boards are no longer allowed to meet over Zoom, we'll meet in person. They're gonna meet in person. Tamara, Catherine, Patrick, and Walpole Cable TV have been excellent to deal with. This room's ready to go. So is the old select board meeting room. We chose this room because this room's ready to go. You can Zoom someone in real time. We gave it a test run yesterday. We might do the poll hearing as a Zoom at your next meeting, just because it's not really controversial. We can test out the technology for your board. But we're ready to go. I think eventually something will happen that will allow a hybrid, but for now, boards are gonna start meeting in person. I know planning board has something this week, and we'll just get used to it and continue to adapt to it. Board of Health met tonight. So, town election, I wanna thank Liz and her team. They did a great job. It went off without a hitch. She's already getting ready for the November 2nd election. She had close to 20% voter turnout, as you all might know. Capital budget, the directives went out a few weeks ago. Request to due back into my office on June 25th. So if your board has anything you want to include after the list comes in, just let us know. I'll share it with you, probably as a draft, that last meeting in June. The pools, the recreation will be opening the pools this weekend. Donnie's working through some hiccups in the South Walpole pool, but for the most part, everything will be open this weekend. We'll try to get through that. Memorial Day observance, Mark Bryson and the Veteran Services Committee did a great job with the service. We're lucky to have Mark on board. I'm glad he really hit the ground running with this celebration, so good work on that. And last thing, Route 1A road work. So, and I'm glad Rick's here for this, the road work continues slowly. The owner's progressing as quickly as they promised. MDR is the contractor that MassDOT hired. They continue to work on Hoover Road. They're still not close to getting out onto Route 1A as far as actual work. Eversource continues to transfer the wires, cut the services, and set the new poles. They're sometime in June, they'll probably be completed towards the end of this month. In North Street Underground, utility work is, they're continue to prepare for it and move forward. Paving and milling, we're starting that.
Down in East Walpole right now, Squire Court area, Squire Court, Moose Road, Grant Ave.
Yeah.
The rain's kind of put a damper on the last few days on the progress, but we'll focus in that area and then move on to the next area. So it is underway.
It's great to have this work started in June instead of August or September and struggle and rush to get it done before the cold weather sets in. So that's it for me. Any questions from the board?
Hey, the one comment I would make is, I remember in the early days of COVID, we had some medical supplies up in the attic that Robin had purchased a long, long time ago. And, you know, assuming we have any CARES money or any of the new money that's coming in, we may want to rethink, you know, do we need to restock some of those medical supplies? Hopefully, we'll never have another COVID situation, but I know there were N95 masks, and I think there were gowns, and I don't know what else, but, so maybe ask Melissa and the Board of Health to give that some thought.
So there were masks. I know the guys in building maintenance and the building inspection department helped Melissa store a couple of pallets over in the old police station a couple weeks ago. So we're restocking what we had, the masks especially. They're so handy in the schools. We just give them to Mike Fisher so he can distribute them out. You know, if we have extras, they've let us have their extras, so it's back and forth. But yeah, we're definitely keeping ourselves restocked.
And at some point, the prices will drop back to what they used to be, and that may be the time to restock. But I think that was very helpful to have when it all began, and we should make sure we have something to get started with if something else happens, so.
For sure.
Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to add one thing. I'd
Sure.
like to personally thank the school department, the administration. Talking about coming out of COVID, I, for one, had a son just graduate, and they jumped right in and gave us a graduation. And, you know, as every parent has, you know, we've missed a year and a half of school, and that last year and a half, it's just, you know, it's been sad for everybody. But our school department jumped right in, The DPW helped them, everybody set up, whoever, all the teachers that did all the work, and graduation, although we melted to death, it was absolutely beautiful and so nice. And so to be able to end on that note after everything else is very much appreciated.
That's great, yeah.
That's it.
I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to end our first of many in-person meeting for the Select Board of Walpole.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.